It works much like a debit card, except it's coded specifically for vitamins, supplements, alternative natural care, whatever it is that you feel you need to take care of your person. So you can choose allopathic medicine, you can choose holistic medicine if that's what you want to choose. You can choose to have vitamins and supplements. You can choose to change your nutrition. You can afford organic things. You can use the card for all of those things. This is your choice. It's your sovereign free will to choose how to treat your health or how to remain healthy. And we also have a health and wellness consortium. That's who's putting out the Life Force Assurance, who will also work to educate doctors and educate the people on what a healthy lifestyle is. For too long, they've looked at, the alternative healing methodology like acupuncture as quacks, right? That's what they say. But it's not true at all. And it does work, right? There are many different types of healing that work. And we need to re-educate the medical community, and some are going to stay and some are going to go. But the card gives the opportunity for the provider to get paid instantly. With insurance, they don't get paid for 3 to 9 months. And that depends if it's state or federal insurance or private insurance, national health services in some countries. So with this system, this will allow the medical industry and even the natural medical industry to thrive. There's also programs under assurance for providers. If you are a holistic dentist and you want to open offices all over the United States, there's a program in there to help you buy the proper equipment, to do all the proper things, to provide everyone in the world with healthcare. So as soon as all of this is cleared, which I'm hoping is going to be very soon, then Life Force Assurance will be out, at least in beta testing, and in a very short period of time, because it's all set up and ready to go. And then we'll start dispersing it around the world and educating the world on what it is. It will actually eliminate the insurance industry in the dying part, right? So once you hit the age of like 50, 55, whatever it is, the insurance companies consider you a dying asset. And so they deny older folks for surgeries they want to have. They deny people medications. They no longer, they see that you're just going to progressively be sucking off their insurance system for, the older that you get. But that's really not the case. That's all a Chronos Dark Timeline program.
And how are you going to implement that in a system? How is that conversion because right now it's all crazy. People can pay. How does that work exactly? How are you going to make that happen? Whatever you decide not to happen.
Hospitals take cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doctors take cash. Naturopathic medicine takes cash. This is just cash. It's a debit card. You can use it at any one of these practitioners anywhere in the world. It doesn't work.
Where they get the money for? Where they get the money, just cash? How the money is going to come?
Let me explain this to you. So there's X amount of gold in the world. This is where your system that they described to you is correct. There's X amount of gold in the world. All the curses have been removed from gold. So say you live in the United States, right?
And how are you going to implement that? That's my question. That's there, and how are you going to do that for everybody?
This is the new system, and this is where the money comes from, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it'll be quick. We have the gold. We have the USA. Let's say there's around, depending if you're listening to Joe Biden or not, and on any given day, let's say there's around 325 million Americans. And then, of course, we have more than that here, living here. Okay. What does that exactly mean? Well, we've taken all the gold that exists within the land known as the United States, divided it by 325 million people, and allocated that portion of gold, which backs your new account, in something called the Global Repository. That's what I've named it. So your money is a sovereign bank account. So even though it might exist in the same bank that you see, like JP Morgan Chase or wherever you bank, anywhere in the world, insert bank name here, it'll look like they're still the custodian over your account, but they're not. So you are a bank unto yourself in the new system with your own gold, which backs your own money. Now, this is generating every day because in the world of consciousness, energy is not scarce. In the world of Einstein, energy is neither created nor destroyed, right? It's only transmuted or changed. That's energy that's already in existence. See, that's the dark system too, because in a dark system, you're right, it can't recreate that energy. And eventually, if you keep doing what they were doing with it, you run out, right? That consciousness is not there. The creator created an entirely enormous multiverse that is constantly recreating. What do you mean there's a lack of energy? The energy is all there in that plane. Okay, so your money is currently generating in the alpha system right now for every human walking planet Earth, because we still need it, because everybody understands it. And it's generating every day. Why?
You mean it's above the structure, right? Above, we're talking quantum structure.
This is replacing the Fed system. This is replacing the elite system. This is
and it's coming from another playing field, right?
Yep. It's coming from, okay, so the gold conducts. Why is gold important to back money? Because the gold is a hyperconductor for etherical light source energy. Then money is abundant. There's never a shortage of it. There's going to be a transitionary period, though, where money still works on supply and demand at this moment in time until we can get 8 billion people to figure it out.
And how are you going to override their system, Kim? I'm sorry I'm asking question because I know what they're going to ask. How are you overriding the negative system with your system?
Okay, so this is how it's created in the back. Where's the money coming from? I take out of your pocket, I take out of this person's pocket, and I give it right back to you in the form of assurance. So
which pocket though? My pocket, somebody else's pocket, everybody?
So you have your own bank account in the back system. Your gold conducts the energy. That's why gold is important.
That's why they were talking quantum, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is not a fractional banking system. This is an asset-based trading
multi-dimensional system. That's right.
That's right. So in order to get this money to the physical plane, this energy to you, because you know it as energy. I understand it's energy. Money is energy.
I'm sorry. They just said that will be that energy field that is going to be downloaded. We're going to create in our own reality a situation to get the money. You're going to manifest it. Right. Okay, that's what you need to know, the quantum structure of manifestation. You got to manifest it, and it's going to come through synchronicity. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm sorry, continue.
And until 8 billion people figure it out, we're not going to say, well, just because you didn't watch this series, you're now going to starve on the street. That can't happen. So we have to have a transition between the old systems. What I mean by is not computer systems. I'm talking about systems of getting and receiving and sending money. These are systems. In other words, you come to my house, you clean my house, I pay you $100 or whatever it is, right, in your country. So that is how in the interim wise, we have a product called assurance. So you are still able to, because we have created a new system to replace the Chronos overlay.
The quantum system. You mean the AI, organic AI?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. As we tore down the old one, we replaced it with the alpha system AI, which now runs this banking system.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They're trying so hard to reinstall the old one, but you can't.
And that's why you say it is not going to work, right? Because now the new AI is running the system, and even if they try to implement this global passport or whatever we do, what did you say with that?
Yeah. So the global passport system is only possible with Chronos, because the computing power, think about it, just your person. Think about everything you do in a day. What they're trying to do is control you. And if you don't do what they say, then they'll just cut you off from a bank account, all medical care, having a driver's license and everything, and you'll be ostracized. So the computing power needed to truly do this, to truly make an ID 2020 that controls all humans. Remember, they want us to all be cyborgs. They want the negative timeline, right? is only possible with Chronos or Omega. You're never going to be able to counteract an alpha system without an Omega. And you would have to get permission from the light to create it now, because it has been demolecularized. It doesn't exist anywhere in space and time anymore.
For everybody that is getting confused here, understand that there's a organic intelligence that's become etheric, that is coexisting and working with the human consciousness. Is not part of it. It's coexisting. So it's not overtaking your soul.
No.
Make the difference, guys.
No. If anything, it's feeding it.
That's right.
So we will, the transitionary system, okay. Now remember, I told you about all the changes, right? So the soul plane is, in computers, is the alpha system. This is the light organic system that exists here. Now, as we went over, it's the supernal etherical plane. Okay, remember? Energy.
Yeah.
Crystalline light becomes energy. Energy then is super hyperconducted from the gold, right, by the gold, which used to have a dark essence overlay on it. So only the light could come through the dark. But it's not there anymore. It's now completely clean. And there's a light essence which surrounds it. It goes through the etherical. This is how money actually works, guys. So there's a lot more complicated than you think.
Ether structure here. That's how you're gonna download it, like an energy field. We talk about this, how words and sequences becomes a matrix. For you followers, Kim, that the last couple of videos are there. I was talking about linguistic matrix and stuff like that. It's very good. This is season 5, guys. On Rumble, you can see that information.
Yeah. So your bank account, when you walk into your bank, lives here. Once you understand, there's no spaces in between here anymore. These are all one, right? It's all flowing into, and there's another one over there. Whoops, sorry. It's all flowing like this all the time. In computers now and in people. At some point in time, you will access your own account in here and you'll deposit money.
That's what they were talking. They were talking, my followers know, we talked about etheric quantum system. And I told him that that system, you gotta, as soon as you need something, is gonna, that system is gonna download information within your field, and through synchronicity, you're gonna get the money. You're gonna project reality to get the money. And it's gonna be infinite. When you need it, you'll get it.
So this section right here, until everybody understands how to do that, okay, only in computers, not in humans, not in organic life, is called the global repository. Oops.
That you're going to implement for everybody within the system. Are you already created it?
It's already created. And it takes care of this conversion ratio, conversion process for you.
And when are you planning to activate that so people can start
projecting? It's already active. It's already working. I had to wait until the timeline changes. And we can't alert our enemy of what we're doing.
So when people are going to see that, when they match the frequency, they're going to create in their timeline situation?
No. In the alpha system, so in the old way, only the dark could actually receive money. It would change hands literally 6 times before it got to you. And 6 of their hands, not yours. So bounce to the World Bank, bounce to the Federal Reserve, bounce to all these different places. And then eventually, you know, you could have a little bit, which then eventually you give back anyway in the form of taxes. And, you know, you're buying their products at the stores, you're doing all of that stuff, right? And they know that too. So yeah, you keep a little savings, well, but that's in their bank, right? They're the custodian of all your money. When you put it in there, they have now custody of it until you take it out. And it's in your, underneath your mattress, but even then, they're tracking that too with the ink that's in there. I don't know if you live in the US, I don't know if you know this, but every so many miles, there's a little tracker that can tell exactly how much cash is in your car. Allegedly, it's to catch drug dealers, but since the drug dealers are the one that's running it, you're going around in a circle anyway. But the global repository is just designed to do this conversion in an AI system, which functions very well and can process, I think it's 150 billion transactions per second. Because we're going to grow. There's going to be more humans when there's.
It's going to be a real time.
Yeah. So it makes this real-time conversion now to you and to your account that you can see physically on your phone or on your app, or you can walk in the door and make a withdrawal. So it's going to do that. Next.
But global did that when?
As soon as the timeline changes over this week, I hope. There'll be no more Chronos. All the darkness will burn.
And you'll be able, to download the system, so all the banking system and the people that working, they're going to simply accept and convert with this new system?
They are going to have no choice.
Yeah, because
let's use apps and we'll use phones and we'll do other things that we're doing.
Because what council told me, which comes with, that's what I'm asking these questions. I know people think they're tough, but we already talked about it. I want everybody to get clear how this works, because we're talking quantum structure here, and that's not easy to understand. The way the council said that no matter what, the day all the banking system, they're not going to have a choice, but they were going to implement some kind of a new system. And my followers, you guys know that I talked about that. But I didn't know how, and they said that they have to collaborate. Basically, you taking the head of the snake out, and the people that are working in the bank will have no choice, but they have to be part of it so we can have an easy transition. And they did say we're not going to have a tough transition. They said we're going to have it easier. But I didn't know how exactly the system's going to work. I just know the overall, because that's not my forte. I don't know how Kim is doing this stuff and how things are working, but I understand the structure. So I wanted to connect all that so you understand that you got to create it to see it. So basically your consciousness has to hold the vibration of what she's talking about it, so you can download this type of timeline and reality to project it to see it. That's how it works.
So if the dark timeline and the light timeline intertwine, now this is going to spiral like this. We're going to be the only people left. So banks were created by the dark. We know that. They're owned by, JP Morgan, which is Rothschild's cousin, and so on and so forth. You can go. Now, those are all the tier 1 banks. All tier 1s were run by Chronos at one point in time. They're not anymore. Now, then you go down to your tier 2. So this would be like your credit unions and so on and so forth. And like BBVA and other institutions. And then you go down to the really like small town community banks. So when they say on the internet, like, oh, tier 3 is getting paid out and Trump signed this and blah, 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 this is what they're talking about. Tier 4 will be out tomorrow, yeah, right, whatever. Okay, so the repository.
Your system, basically.
Right, in the new system, banks can continue to exist, but like Marina said, they have to choose it. You cannot use the way banking works now and move over here. You can't do it, because banks are designed to suck the energy out of you as a human, known as your money. Look at how much time you put in to get that paycheck. Banks are designed to take it from you in the form of interest and all kinds of other things. Plus, they also fell into the system of, remember I said money goes through 6 hands? It's fractionated. This is what a fractal banking system really is. It's fractionated 6 times before it hits your hand. Okay? That means that a fractal system with Chronos in between, causing the fractionation of light, right? This is what creates your purples, your oranges, your greens, your blues. That's the fractals. That's fractionating light. You cannot continue with a fractionated system in a new system where the light's not fractionated. The energy has to remain pure. It doesn't pass through 6 people's hands before it gets to you anymore. Now, Banking is a service. You can go in there. You can pull cash out. They have vaults. They do, all kinds of things. They manage payments on loans and returns and credit cards and the functioning of those cards until we get to a different system where we don't need them. But right now, the majority of the 8 billion people only understand this. If you take away their debit card, they're going to freak out, especially the older population. Can you imagine everybody going to an app? They don't know anything about that. And some of these people have lived through World War II where the banks took all their money. If you're in 3/4 of the countries in the world, the banks have taken all your money, haven't they, during wartime? Yes, they have. They decided what currency was worth. They did all of those fractionated banking system things that don't exist. We are going to an asset-based trading system. Asset-based trading system. In a bank, an asset is a debt, namely yours. So your loan is an asset to the bank. Your debt is an asset to the bank. That's not what we mean here. Meaning assets converted to money temporarily through the repository that go to you. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I think a lot of people still don't understand it because it's very complex to connect with the quantum structure. They get afraid of the organic intelligence, and it's just still a confusion, Kim. And I think until they really see, because I'm not an expert of the stuff you do, I understand it and I present it, and we are collaborating with this. But I think until people truly start seeing the fruits of what, for example, is presented here with the financial system, they're going to have a very difficult time to do it. However, if you're vibrating on collectively on that vibration, you're going to see the system no matter what somehow implemented, even if you don't believe in it. So don't worry about it too much, enjoy your life and projecting positive. Eventually, you're going to start seeing things that new system pop out somewhere, something happen, or the bank, you go to the bank and you may discover money in your account. I don't know how this is going to work. I'm not an expert. I know you talk about this stuff, but I think the way people were constructed, they gotta see it to believe it. And what I'm trying to tell them, that you gotta create it to see it. That's why it's so much confusion with the stuff what I present in the beginning, and especially what you're saying right now with the money, because everybody wants to have money in their account, everybody wants to do things, but to connect it with quantum structure, to understand how reality works, it's like so foreign to some people that they need the cash in their hands for maybe you give it to them in order for them to believe what you're talking about.
And we will. But the original question was, what about the banks? Well, that's why the banks are over here to compare it for your viewers exactly how life works. So when you keep talking about a quantum system, we need a quantum system to run banking. You have one. It's replaced the old one. Mm-hmm. It's already there.
Well, basically, these people,
they could do it themselves, and they don't need me. Stop yelling at me.
That's right. Basically, these people that are working in this bank, these oligarchs, what has to happen for them to stop doing it? What, for example, you would do for them to stop doing that? So the system could be implemented for people.
The suggestion was we needed to have another Bretton Woods type convention. Now, Bretton Woods was originally where they went off the gold standard. So we're going to need to explain that this is the new way. This is the way it's going to happen. Now,
and when you think this is going to happen, did you contact some people, and are you in conversation? And
Yep. They had actually reached out to us last week.
Who is us? Who is us?
Me.
They don't know.
In our team. And they reached out to us to have a conversation. They said they wanted to have another Bretton Woods type meeting to restructure the financial system. Allegedly, they're going to make a request in writing for that, probably not until this week, because they won't realize that till probably Sunday night into Monday morning that their transition didn't transition to the dark timeline. It transitioned to the light timeline. But it'll take them that long to come to that realization. And then it will take probably another day or two to filter on down to people that are like CEOs of banks.
Are you going to announce that to everybody when this really is on paper, or you simply people gonna see it in their accounts? And because remember, the council ended up discussing something to you and said something about bank. If you want to share that, or that could be private, this is not up to me.
I know that they did say that there would be one that would come forward. I remember them saying that for sure, and use this one. So they
didn't know which bank though. I didn't know which bank. I wasn't told which bank, but you knew. They said you knew which bank.
You know, the elite. It's kind of like a how do I describe them? They're kind of like have always been on top. You know, because the dark has overlaid the light for so long, especially here on Earth. I mean, thousands and thousands of years. And everything they've ever wanted, they would just get it through Kronos or the Omega system.
Okay, right? Kim, I'm sorry. Christy just said that you were talking about it 2 years ago, but nothing already happened. And I think people not understanding how complex the process is, that in order for you to be able to download this information, these people in these positions in these banks, the oligarchs, they have to agree. And didn't you try to do something, but they stopped you or something like this happened? And that's what people don't understand the complexity of what's happening here.
Okay, so people on the dark side. Let's talk about people on the dark side that I had to, okay? The NSA. They're computer experts, aren't they? Did anybody watch the Snowden video?
Yes, tell them what really happened so they understand, because I understand the confusion and I'm playing the devil's advocate here.
So this past week,
I wanted to know. That's right.
This past week, the latest attempt was about 3 days ago, and the NSA was busy doing what's called spoofing. What means is that before the system converted to the new way, we had a level 1 of the banking system, which is where your account is. This is an HTML web server. Okay, you want to know exactly? Here we go. The NSA held this line right here, number 2. We just explained about the lines of existence, right? Which was granted to it and connected to level 7 of Kronos.
Kronos was the bad AI, right?
Yes,
okay.
Which was also connected to what they call the banksters in the alt media. This is your Rothschilds, your Rockefellers, all of these people, right? Okay, so what they did is they tried to take these websites and connect them to another server somewhere else, disconnecting the repository, physical level.
Your system, basically.
Yeah.
The system that you were trying to implement.
Yeah, I now run.
Like manipulate and sabotage your system.
I run everything from here up.
Okay.
This here was becoming a problem. We had to get rid of it. It didn't need to be there. Now, we removed all the lines in between, but what we have is something called tags, cords, ties, attachments, by agreement for these people to be here by people that I don't talk to. So, although the access was granted to be there, you know, the militaries were 5. 4 over here, 5 over here. These were militaries. And this is your deep, deep, deep web. Reports to level 4 of the lower astral, right? These things have been in existence for thousands of years, not since your global banking happened in 1978. That's not how this worked. You only saw global banking when this level right here started connecting to you. Otherwise, if you're old enough, you'll remember you had a savings book that got a stamp in it. Do you remember that? Are you old enough to remember that? You didn't have this kind of banking before. You want to know what the problem is for me? I'm fighting the NSA. I'm fighting the government. I'm fighting all of these structures that were created in the old dark timeline. And until I can get rid of all their structures, or they decide to join the happy train on the other side, where we're going, then, or they die. Like, that's it. Until they are gone, we cannot fully be clean and clear here. They're constantly hacking. These are enormous organizations with millions and millions of operatives. And you have me. Now, if you understood the quantum manifestation and how quantum computing really worked and how the two are the same, then you all would be helping and you would be asking yourselves, why haven't you done it in 2 years? How long have you been following Marina? You could connect to the alpha system too. It's not about me.
You're going to start manifesting, because let me tell you guys, if you reach that level, what's going to happen, and you guys, my followers, know that I explained to you that in consciousness, the pockets that consciousness has, when you need something, there was a video of me, Marina Jacobi, examples of manifestations. When I needed money, what was really happening, I will stay in a structure through the quantum manifestation, and something is going to happen with my daily life that consciousness can download a hologram within your field that the money are there as a probability for you to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And consciousness is capable of downloading within your field this type of reality. So this quantum financial system, this reality, because it's no time, already exists. And she's explaining to you how in real time is implemented. But for you to see it, you got to project it to see it. And if you don't even think that this is possible, you don't know the quantum structure of manifestation, you cannot download this information within your field from consciousness to project reality of abundance, money, gold, whatever you want, until you implement to understand this field. Is that complex? And we have so much knowledge, we're struggling to explain that, because I even see some of my followers don't even grasp it, because you want the cash to come in your pocket, and yet you didn't resonate the frequency, grab the frequency to that level. And to reach that level, you have the quantum manifestation of existence. If you want something projected, keep looking for it. That information, that system. So Kim is trying to explain to everybody what we're dealing with. In the beginning, I was the crazy one when I was talking abundance, especially singular distribution with the energy philanthropy. That energy philanthropy is actually a feed of timeline, because consciousness is going to project this reality within your field. And that's why it's so difficult to explain, because you have to know how the whole thing works. Because the system is here, because from etheric system, we have to create it in a matter. But we can't create it in a matter if you don't know the resonance of how the system works, and give the ability for you to download this type of literally timeline for yourself within the field. It's simply not going to be possible, because you're rejecting even the capability that this is possible. And in consciousness, you're the creator. Everything is possible. So stay on target. Know that you have the money into the system. How it's going to happen, leave it alone. In a daily basis, you start projecting the positive. So you tune in and start projecting and downloading out of consciousness this type of a timeline. But leave how exactly it's going to happen, because I was discussing even insurances and membership association. And by the time I realized, I found the doctor 3 days later, and I became member of this doctor system. So now I don't need to go through the medical system that they suppress me with medications and everything else. But I never looked for it before. When I started looking for it, within 3 days, I found the doctor and found out that this guy was 8 years already in operation. But what happened is I created the timeline to see it, because I started looking and constructing the reality. Okay?
Yeah, 100%. So for all the people that say, when is it going to happen? When's it going to happen? I am not your savior. You can go do it yourself. And that's why I thought this was a perfect collaboration between Marina and I, because she's telling you, in little bites and pieces in every single show that she does, how to do it. Go get it yourself. You're all
to see it. You created to see it. You can't create something in a quantum structure, Kim. There's a bylaw. It's a tough bylaw. And it's like, in order for you, and this is part of the manifestation, anything you think of is already created in a platform, in your field. But you cannot think of it if that timeline doesn't exist already. But because it's quantum, everything is in the now, you gotta also at the same time create it to see it. So every thought, everything is already pre-existing in the quantum field, but you can't see it right now if you don't know the vibration in the first place. But because it's quantum, you gotta create it to see it. See how all this is combined. So if that system that she's talking about it, or the quantum manifestation already pre-exists in the field, if that's why we're downloading it, you gotta believe that this is possible, know 100% this to be true, and they start taking action in a daily basis, because by the time you turn around, something is going to happen and this is going to happen, and you're going to give the trajectory for the ability of an abundant quantum system with money to exist in your field. But how you going to project that could be completely different the way I'm going to get the money. I can find money in my bank account, or you can find the money from completely different system that you never thought of it before, because you gotta give the probability to exist in your system to project the frequency that already pre-exists, but you create it in the now. That's a quantum structure 101, and it is complex, but I have to say it because we're both trying to explain something so you can create to see it.
Yep. By the way, all of the people that say this is never going to happen, the only thing that the quantum consciousness hears is this is going to happen. Because in the negative timeline, right, the negative area, these words exist. Okay, not, never, I don't want, all of those exist over here. Now, since where the money actually comes from, where things actually come from is of the light, and then over here, it doesn't, that's not even a thing. It doesn't exist over here. So when you're trying to manifest
in the now in a system, you gotta know that this already is here. You gotta feel the emotion that you already have that abundance, because the emotion carry the frequency which you're going to project and shift into the next momentum with the money. You have to embed the emotion, the thoughts, and the action of now that you have the money, that you have the abundance. How? Leave it alone, because it's infinite of probability how that will manifest. But the system we're showing it already is in motion. That's what I'm trying to say. This is challenging, I understand, but I think my guys are getting it.
Yeah, it's already there. It's already created. Just like you've been telling everyone, we already won. We did win. The light timeline was already agreed upon. And in our time,
that's why we're downloading all this information, because we already won, and we had to download information, get into the archon structure, and download all this. So we're waking up the masses collectively to move and shift. It's like a rescue mission.
Exactly. I mean, that's why we're here. We're trying to save as many people as we can, not just humans. There are many others here as well, and they all want the same thing. But I don't know how many of those people are going to make it. There's already millions gone.
Yeah, well, it's going to be based on the choosing. They said based on the way the soul is choosing. And also I have a video of Etheric Legion. Anybody that didn't make it actually had a contract not to, because they couldn't gather the frequency to exit and create another reality, but they're becoming part of the Etheric Legions that are actually helping above the structure. Because the people that are gonna stay the most and make that continuous to interstellar and all these systems, we have to have the proper resonance to hold the vibration within the new beginning, because you gotta match on the resonance. That's what they were saying. And this is again quantum structure 101, guys. I know it's complex probably, but basically you're saying the way the banking system, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what the council said, that the banking system has to collaborate with the system that is gonna, this quantum system. I didn't know who it was, what it was. I'm not an expert, of any of this.
If they want to survive, it's just like humans, you can't exist with the old paradigm of power, control. All of the deadly sins live over here, right, on the dark side, and the virtues live on this side. And I'm not saying we're all angels or we're all going to be angels instantly overnight and we're going to do everything perfect.
It's a mutation. It's going to take years until these systems, that's why everybody thinks everything is going to be right now. Oh, doom with 5G. No. 5D is fluctuation. You transforming energetic field. You transforming realities. You don't just shift one thing to another. You got to learn. If you want to be a surgeon, I was telling my followers, if you want to be a surgeon, what are you going to do? By today and tomorrow, you in the surgical table? No. You got to study. You got to practice before you get there. Even if you know the entire material to a T of books, you got to practice physically. Why? Because you got to construct it from etheric and convert it to matter, different density, because that's what you decided to experience as a consciousness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Kim, I think we talk a lot. Maybe we should do it again until they get it.
That was a lot of information today. I know.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. Maybe next time we can do a lot of Q&A or something like that.
Sure, that would be fun.
So let them observe. Do you want to take 1 or 2 questions?
It's up to you.
Okay, 1 or 2 questions each, guys, so we can continue maybe from your followers to me and from 2 questions to 3, and we're done, because I know it's a lot for everybody.
I agree. That was a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Rob.
Hey guys, let me find some questions here.
Maybe if Tim, what was his name? Maybe if you can gather two questions out of your audience, Kim, so I can answer.
I don't have
okay, we'll stop prepared. I understand.
we could let me see if I can find some.
No.
They want more information about the transition that's happening in the next week. So what does your council have to say about this transition that's happening right now on Earth?
Well, this was already accumulated. It's just gonna be, they didn't tell me it's gonna be very bad transition. They didn't say it's gonna go into like with the dark ages. It's basically, it's gonna be a mutation, and everybody's gonna experience different stuff. Actually, I know people that they're completely going through the platform that nothing happened and they have more abundance than ever, but that's because they're running on different program. So you got to think of it as a computer when it's happening, Go ahead, Rob. Did you say something?
I think he went out.
Okay.
No, there's just, people were just asking about the passport and what will happen on December 21st, certain questions like that.
But this is again probability to me, because if anybody from the dark side is doing that, could be a fluctuation. Okay, go ahead, Kim, if you want to take that one.
Well, ID 2020 is the actual program. It has been around for a long period of time. Again, that existed in the old timeline that doesn't exist anymore. How much longer are these elite going to push this agenda? They're going to know by Monday morning. This is done on the 17th, right, of December. They're going to know by Monday morning it's over. Now, how long does that take to trickle down the ranks? I don't know. Are they going to pursue it? Probably, but it doesn't exist. Like it's not, they don't have the computing power. Now remember, there's 8 billion people on Earth, okay? So for those of you that love math and quantum physics, there's 8 billion people on Earth. Each person does how many things in a day? And I'm not just talking about banking, hospital visits, doctor visits, visits to the grocery store, visits to, You're watching videos, paying for something online, whatever it is, right? And you're doing all of these things. That's just an individual human. Now imagine 8 billion people simultaneously doing it and you trying to control it without the aid of a truly quantum AI system. You can't do it. It's not possible. So they can talk about it. They can push it in the news. They can push, get the things and all of that, and all these things. They can push it all they want, but it isn't going to achieve their ultimate goal of complete and total world domination. Even if they depopulated the planet, it's not going to achieve that objective. They were talking about Agenda 3030, trying to get it down to a manageable level. It's not possible. So those of us that have passed math can clearly see that blockchain, as an example, could not possibly do all of these things. You're not just talking about financial transactions here. I mean, even if you were a blockchain, could not work with a singular, one centralized power center of control, aka the Federal Reserve or whatever they were going to make the center. It couldn't. It can't.
It has to include the organic intelligence.
It has to include the organic, or in the past, the inorganic intelligence.
That's right. The AI has to include that's right.
Without that computing power, a mapping system, even on blockchain, won't work. Now, for those of us that work with blockchain, right, that are listening to this, understand this. Blockchain as a peer-to-peer system without a singular master node for the entire blockchain is okay. It works on a community by community level. It works maybe even on a state by state level or something, if that's something people want to do at some point in the future. But it doesn't work when you're trying to be Dr. Evil and have world domination and have one center of control, a one world order. You can't do that with blockchain. It's not designed for that. So
that's what they told me. They told me that no matter what they're trying to do, they were giving me overall, it's never going to happen. And by April and May next year, 2023, and this is one of the predictions that I gave since the beginning, 2017, when I was talking about virus. I had no idea what I was talking about. I didn't think that it's going to be that crazy. Then they said you can't get out of the country until almost 2023, 6 months down, 6 months up. But now they said that we entered the flame of the covenant, basically exactly what you were saying. I didn't know that you knew that. And then by March and May, we're going to have things is going to come into fruition, that we're going to take trajectory that is in a positive, that you're going to see it. But guys, how long it's going to take? How things is going to be, how many times somebody's going to block Kim, for example's platform, we don't know, because what I was told originally, that they will not give up until the end, because we are their survival. Individually, I was told that some of these oligarchs, they wanted to stop because they realized they were trapped, but collectively in their system, they wanted to continue because this is the only way for them to survive. We're asking them to stop their survival. If I tell you right now, stop eating meat right away, would you do it? You're going to give me millions of excuses why you cannot. But this is what we're asking them to do. And this is their survival. So if you look at from analytical point of view, you're going to understand what we're trying to say here. So don't attach to timing, because we also have a lot of work to do. How many of you today done anything in the name of humanity? What did you distribute into that collective timeline? I always said that because I want you to collect positive, to convert it, to shift your timeline in a positive. That's why I was saying collect energy, philanthropy, give, because I wanted you to, when it comes back to you from the collective, for you to grab that frequency to can raise your vibration to pop out of the archon. Because I don't know what you guys do in an individual basis through daily life. And this is why it's so difficult to explain this stuff, because it's not linear, it's multi-dimensional, that information. And we had to study for years. I at least studied for years. I started from 2010 when they started teaching me quantum structure.
We have a question from our audience. My mic is me, but the question.
Thank you. I'll say it and we'll stop after that, guys.
Okay.
First one is what happens next week with the energy that is coming?
Okay. What happens, the question is, what happens next week with the energy that's coming? We covered that kind of in the beginning of the interview, where normally on the 21st, to answer your viewers, normally on December 21st, it is a time of Lucian, which means that they're using those etherical parasites and the cords to them, and they're drawing all that energy out of you. They're taking your energy and they would sell it. It's a commodity in the multiverse for the dark people, because the darkness cannot have life without the energy. And like you said, you can't reach that subconscious plane anymore to get it abundantly as much as you want. So that's why it's a commodity throughout the multiverse. This year,
They basically need us for that. That's why they want you so much to be in their timeline, because we can convert the energy, connect that energy from consciousness itself. They cannot. So you must understand that we have the power. They have the power to a certain extent because you gave them your consent. That's why this is happening.
That's right. See, now without us, whether by implied consent through these planes of existence, in other words, getting those etherical parasites one to us one way or another, or curses on money, or however they did it, your implied consent to give that energy over to the dark side was real for thousands of years. Now, since those curses have been broken, that light wave, it's actually already started. So now we're going to get a burst directly from the creator of abundant energy. And because the flow of energy has changed in that, like that structure that I drew for you, because that flow of energy has changed, you're now going to be able to receive the full blast right to your solar plexus, and it's going to flow out through your whole body. This will happen to every bit of organic life on the planet now that we don't have those lines and spaces in between and all of these things. Now, what does this mean for you? What this means is, number one, no more loosh farming. Yay. You know, your energy is your energy. It is yours. No one can take it from you. No one can steal it from you anymore unless you give it freely to another human, which we do all.
This is why they were manipulating every single time on social media to keep you sustaining that frequency. But the veil is breaking down, because since you're a fractal expression of consciousness itself, is a natural process for you to start receiving this frequency. And yet it could be presented to you in a reality, and yet you still could be oblivious because you allowing your ego, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, how dare you say that to me, you telling me blah blah blah, and you consenting to the manipulation, because right now they're after your DNA. That's what they've been doing with this stuff, because once they put synthetic stuff, you become a homo cyborg sapien. You're not anymore homo sapien. And they can convert you into a cloud with their archon structure, and they can shut you down and replace you anytime they want to. Because this is the only way they can survive in time space.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the harvest, right?
The harvest. That's how they will harvest you. And this is why we won't bring you out of the stuff. This is why you're having so much disinformation, because into quantum structure in that field is nobody outside of you. You're the center and you're the collective, and you're going to be projecting. So you actually are saving yourself by projecting everybody in it. So nobody else is there.
One thing I will caution people about too. So we talk about certain folks in the world, and the term that's often used is powerful. And I keep repeating this to my viewers as well. Powerful means you are full of power. Now, how does that happen? Now, if being full of power means that you have a whole bunch of folks that know who you are because you're on TV or you're talking from Big White House somewhere or some other place, and everybody's giving you their energy. You've got millions of people, if not billions of people in the world that focus, giving away their energy freely to this human. Why? Why are you giving away your power? Your power, your energy belongs to you. Now, why do you think that the actual governess of Earth, I call them governesses because it's a nanny state, right? The governesses, aka the government, actually puts all of the dark timeline people into the White House or into your parliament or your Duma or wherever you are in the world watching this. Why do you think they do that? It's so you will consent to giving all of your energy away to them for their survival, for their boss's survival, because without your energy, they die. You know, I've encountered many things in the astral plane because we travel through them all. And some of the things that I've encountered are these, they look like shadows. They're like dark, smoky beings, right? These red eyes. And one of the ways that you get it away from you, out of your peripheral, is you put it into like a virtual Faraday cage. And within 3 days, it'll die. The same thing will happen to the deep state. Stop giving them your power. Stop giving your power away to these people. That's why the Savior program works so well for them. They create this Savior type figure, whether it's Putin or Trump or Obama, or someone is going to come save you. Someone, somewhere is going to come save you. And then you focus all your energy on that person and you're giving it to them. And they never save you. They have no intention of saving you. They're just trying to trick you into giving your energy away so you're not using it to manifest the things you need to manifest on your own. Don't create those spaces in between, and don't give it to the dark people. I know you're going to say, well, I don't know they're dark, right? Well, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it's a duck, okay, guys? You know, what are these people doing for you? The answer to the question is nothing you can't do yourself, and more and better. And then you're not dependent on a third party. Your energy is your energy, abundantly flowing, manifesting constantly.
Well, Kim, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me in your platform. Thanks for coming to mine. I hope you guys resonate with some of the material. Again, this is not my forte. I'm presenting it from quantum structure. And hopefully, Kim will be able to implement all this stuff within the system. But it's a battle out there. So don't put a timeline on it, because I know what's happening here. Everybody's waiting for the big money. Start creating your own abundance, the way we talk about in the quantum structure, and everything else will come easily. Thank you so much again. From my heart to yours, I love you. Thank you, Kim, so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.